Hello and welcome back to another episode of Unbox the Inbox with me, Gary Redmond. Today we're going to be talking about a quite important topic, which is the perfect time between sales automations for a subscription-based business. Now, if you haven't noticed already, I'm quite sick. My voice is almost gone, but I am showing up. I am here. The only person who would turn up to a podcast recording, absolutely dying sick. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not, but not important. I'm here. I'm going to get through it. It's pretty interesting that this call I have is going to be forever immortalized in a podcast episode, but let's get to it today, guys. Okay, so the perfect time between sales automation. So this was actually requested by somebody when I was doing my market research for podcast episodes and topics. So hopefully I'll be hitting the note here and be able to actually help at least one person who had this question. So figuring out the timing of your automations is something that I certainly didn't get right in the past, okay? And it is important depending on the context. We're going to talk today about the context that the customer or the mind frame that the customer is in when they enter your abandoned cart or your sales automation versus something like a newsletter, okay? But what I used to do is to used to leave like a week between emails, assuming that people didn't want to hear from us that regularly, okay? So someone would join our list. We would always, space our emails out so we're not kind of overloading them. And like people may not want to hear from you if they join your newsletter from a piece of content or a blog article, but something like a sales sequence or an abandoned cart sequence is very different, okay? And here's why. The person who enters your sales automation, be that from your sign up flow or your pop up on your website, or someone who actually drops off when abandoning the cart is a hot lead, okay? And they have buying intent, which means they've been all the way to your website or to your cart and they've dropped off for whatever reason. So for that reason, we want to make sure that we are not, letting them go cold, okay? Because maybe they just dropped their phone, their kid started crying, they left their wallet upstairs, or they were just on the toilet when their purse was downstairs when they got onto your website, okay? So they went to your website, they got distracted when they were going down your flow or whatever it is, and they're still ready to buy, but if we don't email them for 3 days or 5 days, or we email them once and then leave it for a week, we're going to kind of let them go cold, okay? So we want to ensure that we email them quite regularly and quite quickly. And we also want to ensure that the tone of the emails is to sell. There's no need for your latest blog post a week apart in this sequence, okay? So the first thing I want to say is what we do, okay? So as with everything in this podcast, I'm going to give you the truth and what worked, like pretty much my experience. I don't want to kind of be hyperbolic and say this is great, this is the best thing ever, or this is crap, this is useless. What I'm going to tell you is what works for us and what works for other people that I've worked with, okay? So what we do is strike while the iron is hot, okay? So we send an email after 45 minutes, assuming the customer just got distracted, okay? And we do this because we want to strike while the iron is hot. We want to make sure that we're following up with the customer, assuming that they just couldn't complete the purchase right there and then, okay? That's the first email that we send. It's pretty much just a reminder of the offer. Look what you left in your cart. Don't forget to come and purchase this. Another thing here is we have essentially the same sequence for our abandoned cart and our site lead visitors. What that means is that everybody who goes to our website, the majority of the emails come from the sign up flow, which is our sign up survey halfway down the website. What that means again is someone goes to our website, they click sign up. We don't bring them to a shop like a Shopify store or anything. We bring them to a little survey that asks them about their dog. And in the middle of that survey, we'll capture their email and then we'll show them the subscription options. So what that means is that nearly everybody who joins our email list is actually somewhat of a hot lead, okay? We also have abandoned cart capture. If they get all the way to the end of the checkout and they don't complete, we capture them there as well. So what that means is that most of these leads, or nearly all these leads, are classified as abandoned carts, so we're quite aggressive trying to get them to buy, okay? So the first email, as I said, is just assuming they got distracted. The second email is a deep dive, and the second email goes after, so the first one goes after 45 minutes, the second one goes after 1 day, and then the third one and the fourth one go after 1 day and 1 day again. So it's 45 minutes, 1 day, 1 day, 1 day. That's the sequence. That's the timing between them, and it's obviously over 3.5 days, 4 days, okay? The second email that we send in that sequence after a day and 45 minutes is we're just making sure that they know what they're going to get. So you got to assume customers maybe skimmed your website. They just looked at the top. They didn't look at the bottom. They got really excited. They saw the offer. They wanted to purchase, but maybe they got cold feet because they weren't really sure what they were going to get. So in email 2, we're going to actually go, here's actually what you get in a typical subscription month or a typical box, depending on your industry. And yeah, you just pretty much want to make sure that they know what they're going to be getting, okay? Email 3, which is after 2 days and 45 minutes. we're going to show them the results. What does this mean? It means people, even if they read your first email, they know about the offer, they're sure that they're clear on what they're going to get from your second email and they know all about it. Maybe they haven't connected like what your box or your subscription offering will do for them. So what we want to do here is show them the results. So positive reviews, happy customers, pictures, 5 stars everywhere if we can. Of course, you can mention the offer one more time, but the goal of this is to back up what you're saying in your previous emails. Like the goal of your sales sequence is to basically continue the buying journey that your website started. So you need to make sure that you're kind of restating what your website says, but from a different angle. As I said, your customers telling your potential customers that it's great is a really, really powerful marketing tool. Okay. So on the final email then, which is after another day, this is where we're going to introduce urgency and FOMO. So we want to make sure that customers who are sitting on the fence, who are convinced to buy, but they're just not really kind of ready or willing to buy right away, we want to get them off the fence. So we want to introduce something like limited stock, or this offer is ending soon, or order now and get a special like discount, even if it's a small discount, depending on what your offer you're already running on your website. Okay, like if you're already running a discount, introduce another way to get FOMO into your emails. And FOMO obviously is fear of missing out. So this is the final email that we'll send them over 4 days, and that's essentially our abandoned cart / sales sequence. Okay, so 45 minutes, 1 day, 1 day, 1 day, and that's what we say in the emails. Okay, now another thing I wanted to say here about this is to look at what your competitors are doing. Okay, so what we did is we obviously did a lot of research into not only like people who are very closely aligned with what we do in terms of dog subscription boxes, but other businesses, other subscription boxes, particularly other e-commerce businesses. So go ahead and join their email lists, your competitors maybe, so other people you know who are doing well, even if they're not direct competitors, other subscription businesses, gyms, whatever it is your industry is, whatever kind of subscription business you have. Look at their webs, join their email list, look at the emails that you send you, look how often they send them to you, and get some inspiration. You don't copy anybody directly, but you take little pieces of what everybody does and you build your own. You also want to look at their ads. You can do that in the Facebook ad library. If you Google that and then enter the name of your competitor or the person you want to research, you can actually see what they're doing to drive traffic over to their website. So not email specifically, but you can learn a lot from another company's strategy by looking at their ads, their website, and their emails. You also want to make sure to pay particular attention to their offers, because the offer is the number one thing that's going to decide the success of your marketing campaign. Okay, so we did a lot of that. It's the biggest and best in the industry. We took nuggets from the different companies. And remember, guys, most ideas are not new. They're just repackaged versions of what works. So don't be afraid of thinking you're copying somebody. Don't copy anybody directly. Don't copy and paste anyone's emails. Of course, don't steal anyone's images, but use it for inspiration for your own. You can model, but you can't copy. Okay. The final point on this, I want to say, test everything. Okay. What works for us should give you some guidance. At least I can tell you that it does work. So it's better for you to start with a strategy that's working for a similar business, because one of the worst things you can do is follow a strategy that works for a business that's not a subscription business, that doesn't really translate to yours, or just follow your own kind of whatever you feel like will work. And if you're a newbie, unfortunately, when I was a newbie, I didn't have a clue what worked. I just kind of did what I thought was good. Okay. So yeah, just do a lot of testing and start from there and refine over time. Like your marketing strategy is kind of always in flux. Things change. You might switch your offer. You might create new email designs, whatever it is. And remember, just because someone doesn't buy in 4 or 5 days in this sequence doesn't mean they're never going to be a customer. That's why it's critical to keep sending regular sales emails. In episodes 1 and 3 of this podcast, I talk about how to keep these emails fresh and also what to write in your emails in episode 3. Okay, so check out those episodes for more tips on how to send regular sales emails without getting stale. So that's pretty much it for this week's episode, guys. Thank you so much. If you like this podcast, please go ahead and leave me a 5-star review. It's still a new podcast. I really need the support. And if you have any questions or you'd like me to cover a topic, please let me know in my Facebook group, Subscription Box Email Marketing. Or if you want the transcript to this or any of my podcasts, you can get it at garyredmond.com/podcast. So I will see you next week, hopefully in a clean bill of health. And please, if you have any comments for me, please let me know.